The Cornell Maple program has been working with manipulating sugar bushes for more than 15 years. One of the more recent projects that we've started with support by the ACER program, the USDA ACER program, is a silvicultural manipulation of a sugar bush in order to optimize the health of the tree, the growth of the tree, and to understand how those manipulations will influence sap production and the sugar concentration that's in those trees. In order to do this, we went into one of our research sugar bushes and we selected trees that were representative of different crown heights or different crown classes. So we have some upper crown class trees and lower crown class trees because we know that those will respond differently when we give them different amounts of sunlight. The study is basically a study of thinning. So when we take a tree that was previously growing in full competition and we cut some adjacent trees, how does that particular tree respond in terms of growth? So this is one of my research trees. We have a lateral line that connects this individual tree to the main line, and that lateral line connects into one of our research canisters. The other side is a drop line that connects to a spile that we've attached to the tree. So the vacuum comes through the lateral line, goes into the can is pressurized and transfers that vacuum to the tree. So we have individualized vacuum systems attached into each tree. Because of that, we tend to get very good sap production from these individual trees. So it's not really comparable to other sections of the woods, but the research trees can be compared amongst themselves. This particular tree was thinned. All of the trees that are part of this study were thinned in August and September of 2018. So we actually started with the sap season of 2017 collecting pre-thinning data. The thinning happened in 2018, and so we've had sap seasons 2019, 2020, and now 2021. So we have 3 sap seasons post-harvest. What we're looking at is how this tree, and if you look up at the upper crown, you can see that there are maybe one tree that's adjacent to the crown of this research tree. The other trees have been cut. And so this tree was thinned as a 3-sided release. So I looked at this tree and I said there's 4 sides to the crown. I'm going to leave one side under competition. I'm going to free the other 3 sides so that they're free to grow. So if you stand here at this research tree and you look around the edge, you'll see there was a white ash that was cut, some black cherry that was cut, a sugar maple that was cut, maybe 2 sugar maples that were cut. So we removed some trees, we gave this tree an abundance of sunlight. Then, just as before the harvest, after the harvest, every time we get a sap run, we come out and we check the canisters. So this canister that's attached to my research tree is set up with a sight tube. So when the sap fills the canister, we can read the depth of the sap that's inside the canister, hold that against a ruler, and estimate the depth of that. So we see that this looks like it's about 11.75 inches of sap. We know the inside diameter of the canister. It converts to about 4 inches of sap equals 1 gallon of sap. So if it was 12 inches, then we would say that this was about a 3-gallon run. We didn't freeze last night, we froze 2 nights ago, so this is probably the end of this run, and we'll record for every tree, for every run, we'll record the depth of sap, and we'll also measure the sugar concentration. So in order to measure the sugar concentration, I have the evacuation line here. This is all under vacuum. I don't want the vacuum to be sucked, the sap to be sucked back into the tree. So I pinch this off with just a piece of main line. I do the same thing for the vacuum side, just because I don't like to listen to the vacuum whistle. And then when I open up this line, this will suck air in and it will stir the sap that's inside. So I get a good mixture of the sap. So it'll just take a second. We'll hear the air evacuate. And so now that has evacuated, I'll drop that. It's going to start draining by itself. I have a digital refractometer. I calibrated it already using distilled water to make sure that I get an accurate reading. I've let the drain tube flush a little bit to make sure that any impurities in that drain tube have been flushed out. I put just a drop onto that. I close it, push the button to take the reading, give it just a second, and I see that this tree is still running about 1.7 Brix, so about 1.7% sugar that's in the sap. So I'll record that on my data sheet and then go on to the rest of my trees. So in the 2 different research areas, I have 75 research trees that are monitored in this way. These were thinned in 2018. The other area is going to be thinned after this growing season. So by next month, we're going to have a logging crew in. So that's all there is. Then I would just pull this lid off, drain the sap out, open up the vacuum line to repressurize the canister, and then open up the drop line that goes back to the tree. Then the tree's ready for the next run of sap.